recording, and we're going to go to Facebook Live, and I'll let you know exactly when we live.
And that'll be on your page so I can share that, right?
Absolutely. Then I'm going to put it on YouTube tomorrow.
This is my third Zoom call of the day.
Dude, you famous.
I won't go that far. Majority of them is work.
Griff.
That's a good thing. A lot of people ain't working, Marcus.
I will be blessed about that. I'm definitely blessed about that.
Look what I got for you, man.
Got for me.
Yes, sir.
You got for me.
Ooh.
Where you get that from?
I had it made, brother. 52. Ooh.
Are you serious? I got one of them.
Hey, I'm rocking it a couple times before I give it to you, but
Hey man.
Hey,
that's
man.
Love.
Yes, sir, man. That's the original right there. That's the original Dundada, man.
That's a nice looking jersey right there, brother.
Official, dog.
That's a nice looking jersey.
Yes, sir, man.
We are live, fellas. We are live.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to Celebrating Greater Peoria Area's rich basketball history. Youngsters these days need to do their homework. Well, let me tell you, if you're from the Peoria area and you don't know about these two brothers here, something wrong with you. Just gonna say it. I got with me two of my homeboys. I've got Sergio McClain, and I got Marcus Griffin. What's going on, fellas? Happy New Year to you, homeboys.
Happy New Year, Curley, man.
Man, Happy New Year, man. It's an honor. It's an honor.
We made it. We made it.
It's an honor to have you guys on, man. We all going through a lot these days, and I started doing this to bring us together. And with the way things are going on in Illinois, there is no basketball going on right now, as you guys well know. We are hopeful for the near future that things will get started. So we can't talk about that. Can't talk about the present. So we can talk about the past. So
yes, sir.
It's time to let everybody know. I got a ton of questions for you guys, but it's time to let everybody know your story. And this is your show and this is your platform. But first, before we get into the four-peat that most should know about, we're going to go back and find out how you guys got involved in the game. Who put the ball in your crib? Who gave you the love for the game? Who gave you the passion that took you so far? So I'm going to start with Marcus. Take us back. Let everybody know, what was it like growing up in Peoria?
My situation is not like, I don't have the typical basketball growing up situation because I didn't play basketball until my 8th grade year. I never played it, didn't care to play it. For a lot, as you're going to find out in these conversations, it just wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me for a long, long time. It was more that my mom needed me to do something instead of being on the streets. Because I'm from the Harrison Homes, I'm from Southside Stanley Street all day long, and it was real. It was real growing up. It was real. So she did not want me coming home, being on the corners. Not that I say I was, but there's a lot of influence because I had a lot of friends that was doing it. So basketball was an outlet. My mom needed me to do something. So I started playing my 8th grade year, made one city, 8th grade year at Tree Wind, and then went to Manual. Definitely did not want to play with older guys because you got to understand I'm 14 years old, 13 years old, and they wanted me to play varsity. So Serge can tell you it was multiple times that I tried to quit my freshman year because I just didn't want to play, didn't care to play. I was like, Mom, I played that 1 year. Let me do my own thing. She didn't. Nope. She was like, you need to play. So trust me, I tried to quit multiple times. Freshman year, sophomore year. I think I tried to quit my junior year as well. Mom would not let me. And so that was pretty much it. I wouldn't say the love of the game. I don't think I got that until after high school. like where I really, really dove into like working on my craft. Like I think when I got to junior college, I think that's when I really dug in because I was like, I could be a monster. Because I saw the progression from my 8th grade year to my senior year of high school. I was like, if I work, like really dive into it, I could really take off. And then I knew I was going to Illinois, and I was like, if I want to go there and do what I know I can do, I got to be a low post scorer, dominating people every single day. And I just took that mindset in junior college. And I was Coach Mike Riley. He was like, Marcus, I'm going to give you the keys. My freshman year, he was like, I'm going to give you the keys to the car. You do whatever you want. And I'm talking about, I took that ball and I ran with it. I worked on back to the basket. I worked on face up. I worked on my touch away from the basket. I worked on my defense laterally. I worked on rebounding because I knew when I got to Illinois, I wanted to be that guy that they had to double team on the block. And I had to work on over left, right shoulder, going over my right shoulder, going over my left shoulder, up and under. I had to dominate all that. And I felt like that's when I
Marcus, you froze.
did not call me the black hole because I had a coach tell me, Marcus, we did not recruit you to basketball. We recruit you to get buckets. Oh, I'm supposed to get buckets. There was no double team that I felt like could stop me. I don't care who was doubling me. If I could turn over the left or the right shoulder, I'm getting buckets. I'm shooting 60% from the field. So that's buckets.
Hey, show you right.
So Marcus,
them buckets all day long.
Marcus, let me ask you this: How tall were you in the 8th grade?
Like 6'6". Yeah.
And how tall were you as a freshman?
Right around that 6'7", 6. I grew probably 3-4 more inches over that summer. I could have been about 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", going to my 8th grade year.
Right.
And then I think I grew about 3 more inches. And trust me, Sergio can tell you, I was clumsy. I couldn't jump and land on my feet. Like I was hitting my head on the ground, running into stuff, hitting my head on doors because I was growing too fast. But just basketball, it just wasn't for me. It just wasn't my thing when I was younger. It wasn't.
Okay.
Like we'd go play basketball because mom told us to get out the house. We needed something to do. So we'd go shoot basketball at the Harrison Big Courts. We'd go to the Boys and Girls Club. We'd go to Tree Wind Park. That's what it was. It was nothing up until I'm going to say maybe mid sophomore that I was like, maybe this is something because I'm a knucklehead kid from the South Side. I didn't think about college. I didn't think, I was like, man, if I can make it out of the hood, give me a job, working somewhere, I'd be okay. But it started to change. I'm gonna say my sophomore year, junior year, I really was like, uh-oh. And then senior year, I didn't see any competition for us in the state anywhere.
Okay. When you was at Tree Wind, you said you won city. And you know, I have a lot of guys on the show, and they seem to really light up when they get to talk about their grade school exploits. So you said that you guys won city.
I ain't had no exploits.
Pardon me?
I ain't had no exploits. I was a tall.
I thought you said you was on the city championship team.
Hold on. I was there because I was tall. That was it. That was it. It wasn't no basketball abilities. Like if I catch the ball, it was something. If I ran and caught the ball, it was something like I was. Basketball was a novelty act for me. I was not a basketball. So you're saying that they carried you in the 8th grade? Oh yeah. I ain't gonna front. I could, if a ball came to me, I can try to block it. Okay, well, I tell you.
Who were some of the dudes on the team with you?
Shamar Irving.
I had Tony Bird.
Dinko.
Gerald Page. You had Frank was on the younger squad. Frank Williams was on the younger squad.
Brandon Watson.
Who you say? Brandon Watson. Yep. Who else was on that squad? Man, you got me thinking. But hardly not that many people though transition over to Manga. Like you had Tony Bird who played, I think, a couple years.
Shamar Irvin and Brandon Watson.
Yep. Shamar Irvin and Watson played a little bit, but then they didn't transition to juniors and seniors.
Seneca
Davis. Yep.
Rest in peace.
For real. My junior college roommate, Lincoln College roommate.
Okay. All right. Sergio, take us back, man.
Well,
his story totally different than mine.
I think the first time I picked up a ball was in preschool at Webster, man. To that point, I didn't know the history of my father. I didn't know, like, I think that was just my first time really seeing a ball, and they had like one of those hoops that you just put on the middle of the floor, and it had the 4 bars and the base to it, and it had the net. And I was just, shooting in it and making shots, and I enjoyed doing it, and I did it like the whole day, and people start telling me, oh, you're gonna be like your dad and this and that. And I didn't know what they were talking about, but that's where it started at Webster preschool. I think my mom was the supervisor over there, and I remember her just coming in, and they was like, this boy's been playing basketball all day. His daddy been teaching, and she's like, no, you haven't even seen a ball yet, and I think that's where it started. I wasn't real good coming up, I always felt like I had to work. I just remember my uncle Jerry, he kind of introduced me to Southside basketball. He was the supervisor over at Proctor. He ran the gym. So like I would go in there second through 5th grade. Those kids are a lot quicker than me, a lot bigger, a lot stronger. But then like I start like probably in the 5th grade, we stayed on Webster Street, 312 South Webster. And I remember I would just have battles next door, my next door neighbor, Bobby Short. And Bobby Short was probably, 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot over the years. And, he was way taller than me, and he was big. He was like 150, 165, 170 in like 4th, 5th, 6th grade. Bobby Short was on your team too at
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
And I just remember in the beginning, Bobby used to kick my butt. He was physical. I would be leaving the court crying, and it was no real space. It was just a fence and a house and a tree with a rim on it, and he dunking on me and everything. But every day I would just go over there, and my goal was to finally whoop Bobby. And that happened after probably about 3 months. I finally caught Bobby, and then I started going over to Proctor. It was my 5th grade year. And I was over at Roosevelt at the time. And, before that I was over at Team, and we would play outside. And that's when I met like Khalil Gayton and Willie Anderson and Chris Stewart and that group. And we would ball every day at recess. And my skills got better over time. And then I went to Roosevelt, and I made the team as a 5th grader, and coach said that was the first time that had happened in a long time that somebody
Who was your coach?
Grade, Lee Powers.
Okay.
And I just remember going to Roosevelt practice and then going over to Proctor, and my Uncle Jerry would force me to play one-on-one with the bigger kids and go guard Gigi, stuff like that. And
Gigi Branscombe.
Yes.
Well known in Peoria basketball prowess.
Right. And I think that got me better. And by 6th grade, I was a little more competitive. I was starting over at Roosevelt, and by my 7th grade year, it just took 2 years. We won city. Won city my 7th grade year.
Who were some of your teammates that year?
Erickson Beck. Erickson Beck, that played over at Central. Mandel Thomas, he went to Central. That was Daryl Ivory's cousin. He had moved from Alabama. Had a real good point guard named James Farmer. He ended up passing away. He was killed. He got shot a couple years after we had won city. Sammy Wright, Curtis Parker, James Richardson. Man, who else was on that team? Daryl Parker, Rico Kirksey, and James Howard. James Howard was on that team as well. All Central guys. All Central, basically all Central guys. And I'm telling you, I think that helped me being outside the box to see how much people hated Manual. You know, I went to Rolling Acres 1st through 2nd grade. I was at Lincoln. For kindergarten. I went to Rolling Acres 1st and 2nd grade. I went to Northmore 3rd grade. I went to Ting 4th grade. So like I saw what was going on before Manual games up north, you know, at the Richwoods Central. And when I went to Roosevelt, it was just like, you know, that's a magnet school. So you getting the Richwoods kids, you getting the Wizard kids, you getting the Central kids, and you're getting some Manual kids all in the same building. But it was predominantly, you know, it was a magnet school. So it was fostering more kids across the city from outside of the South Side. So I was really getting to see how much people hated Manual, and I was a ball boy. So, you know, I had a lot of pride walking through that school every time, you know, we whooped them, you know, until y'all had that magical year when y'all got 2nd downstate. That was a tough
unfortunately, I graduated the year before. I graduated in 82, and they went to the state title in 83. So they had to get rid of me to go to the state title.
Right.
But I remember in a conversation I had with you maybe a year ago or so, that you told me that when you were the ball boy, when you saw Manual in 1982, my senior year, lose in the Elite Eight, and then you saw them lose in the field house. You saw Quincy beat them. You saw Springfield beat them. And that was almost like a vendetta for you to pay them back once you got to high school. I think you said that you were the ball boy and you saw somebody's bus. It might've been Quincy or one of the Springfield schools.
Springfield High.
Yeah.
Springfield High.
So please tell everybody that story.
So it was my 8th grade year. I transferred to Christ Luther my 8th grade year and stayed over there.
Good Lord. How many grade schools did you go to?
All of them.
I thought I had the record for the most grade schools in the Peoria in District 150, but you might have me beat. I went to 5.
But you gotta understand, I was at 312 South Webster, and Webster was the dividing point. We talked about this. This was the dividing point between Richwoods, and Manual. So I could go.
Central?
No,
Central.
No. The Warner Homes, Webster.
Oh, okay, with busing, right? Okay.
Busing. So we're on Webster. And Webster, on the left side, you can go to Manual. On the right side, you can go to Richwoods. We were right in the middle of Webster where you could go to either. So like Dad was going to Manual, but my Auntie Rosie went to Richwoods, and they're in the same house. Okay. You know, so I was allowed to go out there and get a different education than what I was able to get on the South Side.
Right.
So I was able to go to Rolling Acres. I was able to go to Northmore, you know,
two Richwoods feeder schools. Yeah.
Exactly. So I went to Christ Lutheran because they traveled. District 150 didn't travel. Christ Lutheran traveled outside the state, and I wanted to see what it was to compete outside the state. I had seen Brandon Hughes and them do it. I seen Mike Robinson, who was a real good friend of mine. He was over there. He was trying to get me to come over there earlier, but I was just like, nah. I'm trying to win a city at Roosevelt,
Right.
and I want to stay at Christ Lutheran. And then I lost the national championship at Christ Lutheran. We got runner-up in national. We went like 39-1. And
man, that's a lot of games for a grade school team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
And we were at the field house, and Springfield High whooped our socks off. And it was Jerry Hester's senior year, and I was already down. And I had on my manual gear. And I was walking by Springfield High's bus. It was me and Dana Davis. I'll never forget that. And you know, they said a couple of vulgar things, and you know, got under my skin. And I stopped in my tracks, and I turned around, went back to the bus. And I told him, I was like, "My name is Sergio McClain, and you remember that name, because every time I play you guys, I'm gonna bust y'all." Hey,
hey, it's a worry, man. There's no censorship here. You can say what you want.
Well, I told him I was gonna bust that. I told him I was gonna bust that ass. All right. And you know, Dana was right behind me. And I was like, y'all just remember my name. And that lit a fire under me. That lit a fire under me. And I worked hard. I worked hard as hell that summer. Because I mean, I knew what I was coming up against going into manual. And I knew that Peoria, at the time, I mean, I had never seen Peoria get whooped by outsiders. You know, you see a sectional, there's always a Peoria team going to a super sectional. So it was like, damn, these other cities are catching up to us and are whooping us. So, you know, I gotta be ready, you know. And
all right, so you guys get to manual as freshmen. And did you think, because you had to witness, you know, the 91 team with Howard Nathan and Clint Ford, Booth, Greer, you know, losing in the state championship. Pardon me?
I didn't know nothing about that.
I know we know that. Yep. I know. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
I don't know. Like, I'm coming in. Right. Trust me when I tell you, I'm coming in with eyes closed. I don't know nothing about the history of manual, nothing. I'm a kid that is, I am going to manual. My mom, I can't remember. I don't think my mom went to manual. I think my dad may have went to manual for a week, and then he stopped going. So my mom went to Richwood. I had no attachments to manual. I was going to manual because I was on Stanley Street.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's hilarious.
I'm telling you, and me and Serge live like 5 blocks away from each other, and our experiences are just totally different.
Okay. All right, then. Well, let me
Curley.
All right, Serge. So you see where I'm trying to transition into your freshman year, and just a couple years before that. I mean, you guys have been knocking on the door, but losing in third
places, third places, 4th places. You know, David. I was in that Ludus the whole time, from Adrian Hutt, Jameer Jackson, you know, Curtis Stuckey, Lynn Collins, you know, to Howard.
Yeah.
I saw the torches being passed.
Right.
You know.
So your freshman year, Serge, okay? And you took Marcus along for the ride, but your freshman year, did you guys think that maybe this is the year that we can win a title? I mean, you got the great Brandon Hughes, you got Willie Coleman, you got Ivan Watson and others. So did you, and you were a freshman, starting with that great group of ball players. Did you guys think that y'all could win the state title? Because they didn't pick you guys to win. I know that.
Real talk, Curley. I knew that we were probably going to be a state team because what had happened over the summer.
Tell us about that, please.
Griff didn't play with us over the summer, but over the summer, there was a great league at ICC. I think it's Junior Watkins League, if I'm not mistaken. And
hold on, if I can interject, shout out to Junior Watkins, who was instrumental in helping a lot of people improve their games and move on to another level. Shout out to Junior Watkins.
Yeah.
So you had the whole Mid-State 6. I mean, whatever it was at the Mid-State 10 at the time, you had the whole Mid-State 10 playing over the summer. And we won the championship in that league. And we had also traveled. And we had went down to Rockford. And we played Rockford Boylan in the championship at Rockford Boylan. And this is when we was playing like Jacksonville and different teams, but we smashed Rockford Boylan up there to win the championship that summer. The only loss I think we even had that whole summer as a freshman was at Morris in the semifinal, the Chicago King. And we lost by like 3 or 4 points because it was a running clock. And once you fouled after a certain amount of time, they automatically give them 2 points. And that's how they really beat us. So we knew that we were competitive. And I think the only thing that really kind of stopped us in our tracks was that I think 60% of our team were football players.
Yeah.
You know, you had Willie Simmons, you had Cortland Tubbs, you had Brandon Hughes, who, you know, kind of was a nucleus, Jeff Walray. So you had like 4 or 5 of these guys that are football players.
So how did they not get you? Because I remember when you were a freshman, a lot of people were calling you a man child. So I know the football coach had to want you, but I'm pretty sure your father wasn't having it.
Let me put it this way. They wanted me bad. And the deal was that I could play football, but after every football practice, I would have to come in the gym and work out with my dad.
Oh.
You wasn't doing that.
And I was like, hell no. No.
You wasn't doing that.
I'm not doing that. You know, because I was already my day started at 5:30 in the morning, and I'm working out with Van in the morning, and you go into class, and then you have varsity practice. Then after varsity practice, I got sophomore practice. After sophomore practice, I got freshman practice. So I'm not leaving manual till 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. This is my all my 4 years. I'm not leaving manual till 9 o'clock at night. And then you go home, you eat, you do your homework.
Go to sleep.
Come back next day, do the same thing.
Come back and do it
Right.
same thing.
So you guys go on and win the first state championship that Manual has won since 1930, I believe. Okay. And Marcus, you were on that team. You got a gold medal too. So was that a spark for you, Marcus, to say, hey man, I'm gonna stick around for this. This has got to be nice. We state champs. State champs. I got a gold medal around my neck that everybody covets.
Nope, wasn't a spark at all. I started to midway through that season I started to have some success on the basketball court. And I think I played, what was the game, Sergio? Was it Richwoods?
Richwoods.
Richwoods.
That was your coming out party.
Yeah, that was my coming out party as a freshman. So I started to have some success. But
so what did you do against Richwoods, and who did Richwoods have at the time?
Before he even start, I'm going, ooh wee. God damn. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna let him go into it after that.
Serge can tell you the players better than I can, but I know they had Mike Robb on their squad. They had Mike Robb, one of the best players to ever come out of the state. We all know that. And it was just a block party. It was literally a block party. I think I had about 7-8 blocks that game. And it was the defense, my defense was well ahead of my offense. And so as I got a little bit stronger and started having confidence, I started blocking a lot more shots. But I started to play varsity towards the end of the year, played a lot more, but we won the state championship. But I think as soon as after the season was over, I tried to quit. Not even gonna lie. It just wasn't. I felt like I was being forced to do something that I didn't want to do because my mom was not going. She was the iron fist. Trust me when I tell you, Mama Griffin didn't play that. And so she did not want to raise a quitter, but I tried. I did not, okay. I wasn't enamored by the state championship. My freshman year, it didn't do anything for me. But I stayed hanging out with Serge, stayed over, started building that relationship and started playing more often. Next thing you know, I started playing more often. Started to get on AAU teams that summer. Got a little bit more, started lifting weights. And next thing you know it, I'm playing more basketball again.
Well, let me ask you this, fellas. Okay, Coach Van Syke got his first championship after many, many years of being the head coach at Manual. And Sergio, your dad takes over the reins of being a head coach.
That.
How tough was that for you, having the head coach be around you almost 24 hours a day?
I couldn't imagine that.
It was no different because, I mean, the year before, he was my assistant coach. And,
right.
And in reality, you know, I think Van was stepping out of the light.
Yeah.
You know, my freshman year, like Dad was running the practices. You know, Dad and Westy was running the practices. They had a
Chuck Westendorf. Yeah.
Yep. You know, as far as, you know, Van was doing more developmental skills with us in the morning, and he did a good job of telling us who we want to see.
Right.
We were not playing, but who we had to beat in order to get to that next level of going down state. But for the most part, Dad was already in mode. Dad was already in mode, making up drills, making up conditioning, just making up stuff.
The medicine, running around the gym with the medicine ball over your head. I hated that. Oh my Lord, I hated that. I hated that one.
And it was more the same. I think the pressure was how the outside, you know, for me, it was pressure coming to Manual, and Van wanted to start me right off the bat, but Dad wouldn't let Van start me. He wouldn't let Van start me because he knew that the community would be like, oh, the only reason why he's starting to playing is because he's a coach's son. So I was in a catch-22. I was only playing like 10 or 12 minutes on varsity, and I had only played one sophomore game. Yep. And I only played a half of a sophomore game and scored 30 some points in a half, and it didn't play no more sophomore. So I'm sitting there playing varsity, and I'm only playing 12 or 13 minutes a game until I finally started. But like that was the pressure that I had to deal with in the beginning. But when he finally, you know, sat on the throne, I mean, we were already used to him and had adapted to his methods because he was already in mode My
it wasn't
freshman
much
year.
of an orientation for everybody because he had
Yeah.
been there before. And then your sophomore year, and I've said this many times, and I'll say it again, arguably, some may say, but I say the best backcourt in the state with Brandon Hughes and not Brandon Hughes, but Willie Coleman and Ivan Watson, without a doubt.
Agreed.
Without a doubt.
Agreed.
Without a doubt. So you guys have an incredible regular season, as you always do, and go to the toughest holiday tournament, which is the Pontiac tournament, which is, at a lot of people don't know, or they may know, is more competitive than the state tournament, is that Pontiac tournament.
Oh yeah.
And you guys get to state and you take it again as sophomores, and now you got two gold medals. So what was that like? And were you a starter on that your sophomore year, Marcus?
Oh yeah. I started after I think I may started. Sorry, did I start one game? I think my freshman year.
You probably saw a game or two your freshman year, but
Yeah. And
but
after that state,
Griff was a whole different mode going into his sophomore year.
Like mentally, I started, like I told you, that summer helped me out a whole lot because I got stronger. I was able to jump more.
And you was coordinated.
Yeah, I could run. I can catch the ball. I can do all of that stuff that I couldn't do at the beginning of my freshman year. Now I'm dunking on people. Like I can dunk on you now. And so my confidence level is starting to go. And so it was just, I had the two best guards. I even don't have a problem throwing that thing up in the air. I'm playing defense. I'm eating up everything around the rim. I got Serge, Ivan, and Willie leaking the break. So we going. We good.
It's a wrap.
We good. It was a wrap. Our full court defense, our half court defense was just, it was crazy because I was catching everything around that basket.
And Curley, I think everybody talk about Ivan and Will, they were great, but the common denominator on that team that like made it so special and took a lot of responsibilities away from us that year was Daryl Ivory.
He could play, he could do it all.
Daryl Ivory could handle the ball. Daryl Ivory could pass. Daryl Ivory could guard the best person. Daryl Ivory could sit there and rebound.
Yep.
If you get in foul trouble, we could rotate. It was just, he could block shots. He just allowed us to like roam a little bit, and allowed our athletic ability to take over.
I'm glad that you mentioned him because, as you guys probably know, I had Willie Coleman, Brandon Hughes, and Ivan Watson on, and I mentioned Daryl, and I thought that he was unsung, and not to them, but for everyone else.
Peoria, people that know basketball. I wanted to make
sure that he got his props.
Yeah,
and I'm glad that you mentioned him because I saw that he was almost shooting 70% from the field.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. Like people that know basketball, if you know basketball, if you know basketball, you will understand everything Daryl Ivory was doing out on the floor to help us win.
So now you got back-to-back, and you lose Ivan, and you lose Willie, and some of the other key players, but you have a sophomore that emerged by the name of Frankie Williams. So after you won 2 in a row, what was your mindset going into your junior year? Can we do this again? We got this young boy coming up.
Hold on, sir. Let me say something first. So what helped me my junior year was the sophomore summer, is that we played against everybody. Like we played against the Chicago Cats. We was in AAU. And I came out of that was like, oh my God, this is the best that we got to go up against? Like real talk, this is the best we got to go up against. I'm like, can't nobody beat us. Can't nobody beat us because they was not it. And I love my dudes up in the city, but they was not it. They was not it. My confidence was soaring.
Yeah. And
My co-
that junior year though was the hardest transition. That was the hardest transition because you're so used to Will and Ivan dictating
Yep.
the game, and we had to. That was
It
a
was us.
rebuilding year. It was a
Yep.
rebuilding year because everybody had to figure out their
A
roles.
rebuilding year that ends up into a three-peat.
I'm for real though.
Wow.
Like, girl, we were horrible that summer. We
Yeah.
we
We lost
like
multiple
8.
games. Yeah.
We lost like 10 or 11 games. We was losing to like Deerfield and
Yep.
teams like that over the summer. Like, I'm being for real because like
Right.
we had to figure out what our roles were. Like, you know,
Yep.
you had seniors, you had Tim Caldwell and Khalil Gayton coming in, and you know, it was like, you know, this is our team.
Another
and
unsung name, Tim Caldwell.
me and Griff
And then
was like,
Marshall
no,
Dunn
this is
again.
our
Marshall
team.
Dunn again.
Yeah, Frank was coming in. You know, he ain't really played varsity, so he's trying to figure it out. He's taking, you know, everybody's taking. It was getting to the point that everybody was headhunting for points over
Yeah.
that summer, and
Oh.
we weren't clicking at all. We were losing, and it took
We
took
needed
a
to go
lot
through
of
that.
work.
Yeah.
It took a lot of work. I mean, individually and just bringing our friendships together in order for us to be competitive. And honestly, I didn't even think, I thought it was going to continue to happen until like I think we went to Danville, and that's when you play like Farragut and King and Danville. You play 4 games, and we went 3-1, and we beat Farragut with Ronnie Fields.
Yep. And Kevin Garnett.
No, Kevin Garnett wasn't on that team. That was the year before.
Sophomore.
Yeah, the junior year
Yep.
when Ronnie jumped over my head.
He had to bring that up.
Hey, I mean, it happened. I was trying to do the right thing. I was trying to take a charge, making a basketball play.
We still beat their tail.
Yeah, we
He
did.
jumped over your head. You got 4 championships.
That's what we talking about.
Hey, and I scored like 16 straight after that too. Nobody want to mention that.
You got buckets. You got buckets. Serge got buckets.
Speak on it. Speak on it. Speak on
going
it.
down like this. Serge was like, oh no, it's not going down.
No, it was like, ball, let's go. Right after that. Right. So like we that Danville tournament, we lost to Chicago King.
Yep.
And
Marcus
that was just our fault. We was up by 20-something at halftime, and these are the top teams in the state. And I just remember we were tired, and Griff missed some easy. We was feeding Griff, and you missed some easy shots in that 4th quarter, man. But you was just tired. And Larry Alloway just took over the game and beat us at the buzzer. But right then and there,
yes, that was a buzzer shot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right then and there, I knew that we were back in position to win another state championship.
Yeah, that weekend was huge, confidence-wise, because we competed with the best of the best and we held our own.
Yep.
And so Miss State 6 didn't have a chance.
No, it was, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything, but like at that point in time, man,
Conference did not have a chance.
Nobody in the Mid State 6 could mess with us.
Not even close.
Nope. And that was AJ and Mikey's senior year. And I just know that because we played with AJ and Mikey over that summer.
Yep.
With the Warriors, and our team, it was me, AJ, Mikey, Frank, Griff, Quentin Richardson, Corey Maggette, Nick Irvin. Whew. And we went on the circuit and rolled. Like we were on, like, I don't know if you saw that Ron Artest documentary, but he played for the Gauchos or something, and he said we only lost
out of the Bronx.
And they were talking about how they went all those years and they didn't lose any. He said we lost 1 game in like 4 years or something like that. Guess who that 1 game was against?
Yeah.
Who was your coach of the Wolves?
Larry Butler.
Butler.
It was the Warriors, Chicago Warriors.
Excuse me, the Warriors.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I remember we played them. They had Lamar Odom, Elton Brand, Ron Artest. It was me, AJ, Griff, Frank, and Mikey out there in the last 6 minutes of the game, and we popped them. Peoria.
Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. So your junior year, was that the year that Kevin Garnett and Ronnie Fields lost to
No, that was
Thornton?
sophomore year.
That was
That was
sophomore
sophomore year?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me backtrack for a second because a lot of people wondered how in the hell did Ronnie Fields and Kevin Garnett not win the state championship? And that game is on YouTube and I watched it. But when you guys were in the tunnel or in the stands or whatever, what did you think of that game? Because everybody from Chicago thought that, I'm talking sports writers, whoever, thought that Ronnie Fields, Kevin Garnett, and Farragut was going to win that state championship, and Thornton dismantled them. So what did you guys think watching that game?
Curley, to be honest with you,
I didn't care.
we weren't worried about them.
Nope.
I'm being 100.
But you had to hear all the talk, didn't you?
Oh yeah, we heard all, but the
we
fact,
handled them all
this is
right.
what people don't understand. Your facts. We weren't even ranked we were number 3 or number 4 in the state of Illinois behind Joliet and Farragut, and we had beat both of them.
Yeah.
And we beat them in double digits, double figures, and people don't understand. We were ranked number 3 in the nation, number three in the nation going into the Springfield Land Fair game, and Will and Ivan was playing around and lost that game. It cost us a national championship. We really could have had 2 national championships.
They actually talked about that, which was actually comical to me.
But at the beginning of that, if you want to talk about that Farragut team at the beginning of the year, you heard all the smoke about them and all that good stuff. But when we went to Danville, we handled that team. So
Right.
we was not worried about Thornton. We understood Thornton had a bunch of athletes on that squad. But if we would have played Farragut, we was not worried because we knew exactly pressure bust pipes. And no matter what pressure bust pipes, and no matter what anybody can say, our pressure beat Farragut in Danville. Our pressure beat Thornton that year. So we was not worried about anybody.
Okay.
Come play. At
All
the
right.
end of the day, go ahead.
Back to the lecture at hand that we were talking about. You're going into your senior year. You done three-peated. You have tied what East St. Louis I think it was East St. Louis Senior, East St. Louis Lincoln did, winning 3 in a row. On that third championship, they beat your rival, Central, in 3 overtimes in '89 to win their third title in a row. You guys have now matched what they've done, won 3 titles in a row. So how much pressure was it going into your senior year? You've got your main nucleus of that team with respect to everybody else. You got Sergio, you got Marcus, and you got Frankie, who has made a name for himself already. So what was your mindset? And I'm pretty sure that it had to be more pressure on winning that four-peat than any of the championships that you won. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please speak on it.
I didn't feel any pressure during the school year, during the regular season. Like, you don't feel pressure until the playoffs because we was dominant of a basketball team. But we knew one ankle injury, one messed up knee can cost anything. But regular season, sorry, what did we lose 1 game that year?
We lost 1 game, and it was a controversial game.
I was at that game.
Chicago Carver. Yep.
Hang on.
You didn't play, Griff.
I was at that game because you guys played Nick Irvin.
Yep.
I hope you're watching. Nick Irvin and Carver. I lived in Chicago at the time. Carver is 15 minutes from my home on the south side. And my buddy, Malcolm McGee, who you all know, Malcolm Mike, he drove up, and Brian Boone drove up, stayed at my home, and we drove over to the game. That is the most bizarre game I have ever seen in my life. I have never seen nothing like it. And they stole that game from you guys. And I remember your father going over
Grabbing the mic
and grabbing the mic I never seen that before.
Go ahead and quote it, Serge. Go ahead and quote it.
So go ahead and tell it, because I'll never forget it.
Well, when he was like, you MFers couldn't referee a goddamn bitty basketball game and drop the mic.
Drop the mic on him.
Yes. And I remember after that game, the refs, thank you, appreciate it. The refs that were supposed to ref that game,
Yep,
came up to my dad and introduced themselves and said, hey, we were scheduled to work this game, and when we got here, they told us that we weren't working this game, and they had their own refs.
and they still almost lost.
Yeah, still almost lost. But hey man, that's just how the cookie crumbled. And I mean, it was so bad that it got national news that how bad the game was, that it didn't even affect us on the USA Today national polls. They even said something in a little tidbit that they give the what happened that week with the teams.
Right.
They even said it in the paper with USA Today that it was a farce.
I was at that game and I'd never seen anything like it. I've seen a lot of damn games. I've never seen nothing like that game.
Yeah.
So that was your only loss that year, and you guys are heading back to state. So what was it like, that feeling? You're seniors.
Unfinished business.
You just win the super sectional on a Tuesday, and you playing on Friday down in Peoria, and downtown Peoria. What was that feeling like, that last pep rally, walking around school, being the big man on campus again for the last time? What was your mindset that this is it?
That was the mindset. Like I'm ready. I'm
Yep.
ready to get this over with.
You have no idea. Yep.
Like you gotta understand, you're putting
The sacrifices that we
you're putting 16, 17-year-old kids in a situation where basketball isn't fun, it's business. It's business. And I mean, Marcus could tell you this, like me, Frank, and Griff had bags. We had bags at the school. We would be in classroom and it'll be an intercom or somebody come like, hey, y'all gotta go. And this is something we wouldn't even know about, like, hey, y'all gotta go. Y'all gotta be in Chicago in 2.5 hours to get on a plane.
Yep.
Going to Philadelphia. And you getting off the plane and Kobe Bryant is in a limousine waiting for you. You know,
that's how we met Kobe.
To play in a gym rack, you know.
Yep.
Or that was just our life at that time. It's like we were traveling. We were traveling all across the world, and not too many people know this, Curley, but it wasn't no pressure to win state. We was after a national championship.
Yep.
That was the pressure. People don't know this. We had already won a national championship that summer on the AAU circuit.
AAU.
And that's talking Lamar Odom, Tracy McGrady, all these players. And that's why I gotta give Griffiths. That's when I saw that nobody was messing with Griff. Nobody was messing with Griff. Griff was dominating the best players in the nation. And he got big time MVP. We won a national championship. Griff got big time MVP. We both made all tournament.
Yep. In Vegas.
Griff was, and people don't even know this, Griff was like the top 2 big men in the nation at his position. Top 25 in the nation as a player. I was top 25 in the nation, 2 or 3 at my position. Yep. So like we're on a national level. It ain't about no Peoria no more. It ain't about no state of Illinois. We are on a national level as far as what we're doing and who we're playing and we beat everybody on the national level.
Yeah.
The state of Illinois, our team, we had Melvin Eli and Marcus Griffin, myself,
You
Nick
won't get
Urban,
me.
Steve Dixon, Gerard Billingsley, you know,
Wasn't Jory Raines squad? Jory Raines?
they were for a little bit.
Yeah.
For a little bit, but like this team, we all made all tournament. We won a national championship. So the hardest part was just finishing the race, man. Finishing the race and finishing out on top. And it was a long road from freshman year to senior year to just get this done.
Yeah.
And
Let me add
go
something
ahead.
to what Serge was saying. Like the fun aspect of everything. Like that could be one of the reasons why, because we did not have fun. Practice was not fun. Practice was not fun. We
No.
sacrificed for 4 years during that run. We sacrificed everything. Not a lot of people don't understand. We didn't have winter breaks. We was in the gym every single day. No winter breaks, no Thanksgiving breaks, no summer breaks. Our whole life for those 4 years was basketball. And that senior year, I just looked at it as unfinished business. Let's go down there. We just got 3 more games. Let's go.
Yeah,
And then that first game was my hardest game because I had to run around and defend Quentin Richardson in that game. And that dude was a monster in high school. He was a monster in high school.
So when I got hurt.
Out of everybody I had to guard, I think because he was quick, he was lightning fast, strong, I think, and he was an offensive rebounder. He was just offensive rebound, so I always had to pay attention to him. But it was just unfinished business with me. Let's get it done. One more.
So you win your 4th championship.
Whew.
And what did it mean for your families? It's well documented. Some of the greatest, what I call iconic scenes in Peoria basketball history is you and your father, Sergio, hugging each other.
Yep.
You know, and that had to be awfully special to be able to share your accomplishments with your father right there along with you. So I'm going to ask you both, what was it like for your families? Everybody, it's well documented about you and your father, for your mother, your sisters, your brothers, your grandparents, your friends, your certain teachers. What was it like sharing your success with them?
Serge, let me go first because mine will be short and sweet. My mom didn't care. My mom, like my family and like my situation in Serge's family, my mom was not about basketball. My mom was happy that her son was doing something that's going to.
Did she come to the games, Marcus?
Yeah, she'd come to the games. She'd come and support, but that was about it. Like she'd come with Miss McClain and sit up there, but she just wasn't a basketball fan like that. My mom was a book nerd. She was an accountant. So sports was not her forte.
Okay.
But she would come to the games because her baby was playing. And she was happy because I was happy.
Right
Outside of me playing basketball, I probably couldn't tell you how many basketball games she watched on TV.
Mm-hmm.
After I left Illinois, she probably never watched another basketball game ever again. And I'm not joking.
That's Ollie all day.
Yeah, she loved it because I was doing it.
Right on.
That was it. It wasn't nothing else to it. She did not care.
What about your siblings and your father?
Oh, my baby brother recorded every freaking game that I played in. I can't tell you none of my stats. Rod, aka City, Nonstop, whatever all his nicknames is. I can't tell you none of my stats. But you ask him, he would tell you my career high points, rebounds, steals, assists, what game I fouled out in the quickest. He got it all. Because he was the baby, so he stayed at home and he recorded a lot of games fresh off the whatever the station was that you could watch the games back here in Peoria. But awesome. That was it. See, mine was short and sweet. Serge, I already know how it felt. It hit his family. All the history that the McClains had at Manual with his father and then him. And then his sister ended up going there after that. So go ahead, Mr. McClain.
I mean, it was like a dream, honestly. You know, it was just like, you know, you go, when you look back at it, you go from Proctor with your Uncle Jerry, and then
Yeah.
just going through the whole process, and everybody's following you. You got family from out of state, you know, and they're telling you that people are talking about you all the way in Minnesota, and you
Yeah.
know, different things of that nature. It was an awesome feeling. I think the best feeling of all was the environment, the electricity that was in Manual at the time.
Yeah.
And how many kids, if you look back and look at the percentage of how many kids went to college and how successful Manual was
Yeah.
with graduation rate and kids athletics and going on to get scholarships and different things, it was at its highest at that moment in time, because we were all feeding off each other as far
Yeah.
as being successful. And like I just remember just the getting on the fire trucks and going through the south side, and just, you know, you seeing people crying and hugging, and you know, that's what it was about for me at the end of the day. Is just that last ride, man, and just seeing the whole like, this is the only time the whole community is coming out and celebrating
Yeah.
without any violence, anything. They're just proud of the origin of the South Side and how many families had come from Manual, you know, and how many times disappointment had came over the years of having great teams, you know, to finally be proud of something. And not saying that we weren't proud with third place or fourth place or anything, because we had never got that before. So we were always proud. But to finally break that barrier,
Right.
Yeah.
and sit here and, hey, we're the only city in the state of Illinois that has ever done this. To sit here and say, hey, we're the only city in this state as a national champion,
Yep.
you know, that says a lot about the South Side and the people at the time on down that hill, and you know, how we all worked as a team to win those championships.
Yeah. I would say the one thing that Serge touched on is the pride. Like at the end of the day, how I look at myself, maybe it's not the same as other people, but I'm still that kid that was going to the Boys and Girls Club, that grew up on Krause Street, that grew up on Stanley Street in the Harrison Homes and on the South. And I just wanted every kid to know, man, y'all can do what we do, and y'all can do what we accomplish. And so just going back to the hood and be like going down Lincoln and going down Highway and then going back up Griswold, there was nothing bigger than that. It was nothing. That was so special because all the kids was out there. So yeah.
Boo. This is crazy if you really think about it. If you saw the perimeters of where everybody stayed on those teams,
yeah,
it was a certain circumference of about an 18 block radius.
Yes.
An 18 block radius of Southside kids from Peoria won 4 state championships and a national championship. And not no state, not no city, national, the best in the country from the south side of Peoria.
Yeah.
You know what? That's one thing I've always said about the Manual run, the four-peat, is that you guys didn't have anybody commuting 50 miles to come to the school to play. You guys you could trace all the players to schools that were no more than 5 minutes from the school.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what's special about it. That's not today though. Today is different, but you can say that these were the glory years. And me being a Central guy, shit, I give you guys your props, you know? And I was proud. At that time when you guys were winning your championships, I was traveling the world with the Globetrotters and being in some country and looking at USA Today and looking at Manual. Peoria Manual is the #1 team in the nation. And I was very proud of that, being a Central guy. So
It was Peoria.
exactly. And I try to encourage people to today, and I can be a little bit of a hypocrite because I remember when we got beat my senior year in the field house by, and I remember them all, Al Alexander, Estelle Russell, Aaron Kelly, Benny Mack, John Gibson, Tony Gully, and others. When they beat us and they went to Champaign, I don't remember rooting for them, to be honest, you know. But as I got older, I'm like, man, they got Peoria on their chest.
Yep.
And I should have been rooting for them. So I've changed. And when I was with the Globetrotters traveling the world, I was very proud of you guys. Very proud. I didn't get to see you guys play physically because I was doing my thing. But my buddy Malcolm taped all the games on VHS. I got VHS tapes in my home in Chicago that you guys might want. It's all your games in the state tournament.
If you bring them down, man, I could put them on DVDs.
All right. And he gave me those tapes, and I watched them when I got them. I was so proud of you guys. But your father, Sergio, I've known your father since 1973.
Man,
when I was a little boy. My dad was head of security at Bradley and was Bradley's first black player in the 50s. So I was I got to be the ball boy. And your father was one of the great players at Bradley at the time, him and Bobby Humbles and Big Mike Davis from Manual. And I never forgot them. They were always cool to me. And much respect for your father. But much respect for Manual and what they've done. It is unprecedented. I'm good friends with Sonny Parker, Jabari Parker's dad. I've known Jabari since he was a kid. And I argue with my Chicago friends that four-peat that they did
was not the same.
Carry weight.
No.
Does not carry weight with doing it in a two-class system. Does not carry weight. And
I don't even care about not winning those two games on the same day is huge. Because when you want to be state champions, when we did it, we had to come in and play early on Saturday and then finish the night off in the state championship game.
Yes.
They don't have to do that no more. It's a game every day. That is a huge difference.
And Curley, and as far as, I mean, I know the adversity we dealt with my senior year downstate. I mean, I got hurt. Like I tore my trapezius. I tore my trapezius muscle, and I just
know what that is.
That's that muscle right here.
Okay.
Right here on my shooting. So I mean, it was partially torn, and I'm sitting there playing with a torn trapeze, and I just remember Griff was my roommate, and just that you're playing two games going into, get hurt against Whitney Young, and Griff's my roommate, and I'm basically up the whole night in pain.
Yeah, he was. I remember that.
Griff is sitting there talking to me. Are you going to be able to play tomorrow? You know, the trainer coming in, you're getting stem, ice, you're taking pills, you don't sleep. I just remember everything leading up to that final horn ending and it being over. And it was just like, this was the hardest mountain to climb. When they say, like, in order to reach success, you gotta climb. You're gonna go through some things that you never thought you would go through. Yeah. That for me was, I earned that.
Yeah, and that last game, man, it was like if we played that team any other time, we'd beat them by 40. We'd beat them by 40. Beat them by 40. Wouldn't even be a game. But just with everything, because it seemed like we was just we'd take 2 steps and we'd fall back 15. We was just so tired. It's like legs was heavy, but I can remember we got a steal at half court. Serge laid that sucker in, and then we went on a run, and then we didn't look back. It was just, you get to that moment that you could be like, like, oh my Lord. But yeah.
Well, you know what? To cap it all off, you and Sergio and Frankie got to reunite at Illinois and play together. And that had to be very special. And I do know that that was very special for Peoria because Peoria loves Illini. I mean,
Yes,
Bradley is
Bradley.
I'm biased because my father played for Bradley and all, but Illinois is what the state of Illinois loves.
Yeah.
And to see 3 Peoria boys in the starting lineup, and you guys won Big Ten championships, if I'm not mistaken.
Of course.
So that was special. So you got all the props from old CBJ. You know you got props from me. So with that being said, at this point, we're getting ready to wrap up. But I want you guys to give a shout out to some of the great players that you played with, the ones that are unsung. I'm glad we mentioned Ivory. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I learned something about Seneca Davis today that was very sad. Some of the great players that you guys played with and you played against, the great coaches, the great teachers, whoever backed you guys. You mentioned Dana Davis, who was, when you look at some of those championships, you see Dana Davis in the background. You know, he's right there. So please mention some of the people that helped you get to the point of doing what you guys did.
Is it on the court? On and off the court?
On and off the court.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with, I got Ms. Long, I got Linda Millen. Those was teachers at Manual. Miss Clausen.
Willingham, Moulton.
Yeah. Yes, keep going. And those just teachers.
Mr. Diamond, Sandy Farcash, O'Day, Sheaf. I mean, I'm gonna miss some people, but like Al Smith, Mitchell Anderson,
JJ,
Mac Irvin, Larry Butler,
yep,
Sonny Vaccaro. As far as, I mean, special shout out, and I mean, that's a whole different story, but just all the ex-players like Curtis Stuckey, Fred Lee, Howard Nathan, Clint Ford, David Booth.
Yep.
You know, Doug Lee coming to the gym, Oliver Mack, Bobby Humbles. You know, our summers is what made us. And preseason before the season started, and those guys would come in and Lynn Collins, we would battle them. And that's another reason why we knew we were good, because we would beat them. we would beat them.
Guarding David and Clint Ford every day. Yeah. Nobody else can touch me. I'm guarding David Booth and Clint Ford every single day.
Yep.
Getting done in. Like, no, I don't care what no other 17-year-old kid got for me. I got these grown men sunning me, toughening me up until they couldn't. And then it was a problem.
Right. And just, I just appreciate those guys coming in and sharing their lives with us, you know, and, you know, they was going overseas. They were doing big things. I just remember like David showing us LA Laker contract, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, you know, people don't know, like David Booth introduced me to Michael Jordan and allowed me to have a relationship. Never forget that. My senior year, he came down to Champaign, just called me out the blue. Hey, I'm coming to pick you up tomorrow. And he takes me to Chicago to play against Michael Jordan at Hoops Gym. You know what I'm saying?
Do you remember I had to guard you?
I forgot all about that, boo.
Yeah, Michael was on my team, and unfortunately, you were the shortest player on the opposing team, and I had to guard you. And you know what you did?
Posted
Mouse in the house. Mouse in the house.
Yep, mouse in the house all day long.
I remember Jordan saying, "Damn, I've heard of rotating one, but we had to rotate everybody to help Curley out."
Oh, don't trip because
you remember? Do you remember that?
Hey, you know what, Curley? Don't trip because it was more the same with him after you left. They had to rotate when I put him in the post too. No BS. No BS. But like I just appreciate like I appreciate all those manual guys, man. Like they swag and everything. Just being little, man. Seeing Lynn Collins, you know, pregame, you know, what he used to do before the pregame, sitting there, he had a whole jar of activator, S Curl,
First, don't do no
he would sit that thing on the bench, man, and just take globs of that stuff, bro, and put that in his hair and shaking it. Had the dopest Jerry curl, bro. You know what I'm saying? You
First,
know,
don't
and
do no Jerry
I would imitate all those guys. I just remember all that, man. That's what made me, man. Just seeing all those guys, Derek, all those guys, the dog show, just clapping it up in the field house before coming out, just all that, man. That's what made me, and I couldn't wait until it was my turn, bro. I couldn't wait till it was my turn, and I mean, I appreciate them for showing me the way, and I hope they are happy with them giving us the baton and how we Hussein Bolt that joint.
I called the blueprint. They were knocking on the door. You guys came and kicked the door down. So much respect.
I'm sorry,
much respect.
Special shout out to Brandon Hughes too, man. Brandon Hughes. Without Brandon Hughes, like how he you know, Brandon Hughes, Will Ivan, man, they
led the groundwork.
Yeah,
dude, I had them brothers on. I hope you saw it. I had them brothers on. And,
cohesive, man.
It was one of my favorite shows.
Is a cohesive group, man. We loved each other. We were friends, and you know that it was no cliques. It was no cliques, and I think that was a difference between the teams in the past and what we did was just that it was more cliquish back then, and I saw that and I learned from it, and you know. Going into the future, Brandon was not playing that. Everybody was one.
Yeah.
You know, and
we all went out together.
Yep.
But shout out
that's what made us special.
Yeah, shout out to Frank Nitty Williams, Rob Johnson, Jill Dinko, Drake Ford, Alex Stevens. Rest in peace to my brother Seneca Davis. And so,
Greg.
but yeah.
Yep.
Huh?
Greg.
Yep.
Yep.
It was a lot of people, man. It was a lot of people, old school guys. And I can remember doing an interview, 25 years ago for Sports Illustrated. And the one thing that I come back to is that I give everything to the people that paved the way before me, to the Howard Nathans, the Clint Fords, to all those guys that used to come into that gym in the summer when it'd be 200 degrees in that sucker, and we getting it in for hours. We getting it in for hours. That's what made us 4-time state champions. If it wasn't for them coming back, we would have never won. We wouldn't have been tested.
For sure.
Well, I tell you what, fellas, as you know, much respect from old CBJ. Thank you guys for coming on. I wish we could have had Frankie on to join you,
man.
But I couldn't get him. But I have the utmost respect for you guys. I wish you all the best with everything that's going on right now. And thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate you guys. You my homeboys. And thanks for hanging out with a Central guy.
Hey,
man, the people don't got no questions for us. I thought the people was going to have questions for us.
Dude, man, I think y'all answered a lot of the questions that I had for you.
I know we're running out of time. I like to talk to the people.
Okay, well, all right. Well, hang on. Hang on a second.
Griff don't come out often.
Well, I'm glad I was able to bring you out. But I'm going to ask him again. Okay. I do have some questions that I had in my inbox. Here is one of them. What did it mean to you guys to give Coach Van a championship in his last year?
Serge, you can take that.
Man, it's an awesome feeling. It's an awesome feeling. Just the simple fact, like I told you, I was there over the years and saw the teams that he had, and you know the tough losses, you know, to the Quincy's, you know, and you know, just for it, bro, the whole thing was a storybook ending.
Yeah.
You know, like it was a happy ever after, you know, with that whole run, and just for him to be coaching all those years and to finally
And get
win a state
close. Yeah.
championship, you know, and like what he was dealing with at the time, his wife had got sick when we went to state and
Yep.
Oh,
got diagnosed with was it hepatitis or something? She was in the hospital struggling at the time. I just remember everything we was dealing with, you know, and coming out and winning that, and him going out like that, that was awesome. It was awesome, man. He was the winningest coach in state history at the time.
Yeah.
It was
well,
only right.
this is not so much a question, but Joyce Cook wanted to give a shout out to you guys for inspiring her son. She said that her son Brian did not go to Illinois, wouldn't have gone to Illinois if it wasn't for you guys.
That's my brother.
I want Illinois. I want Illinois to hear that. I want Illinois to hear that.
Sir, stop.
I want Illinois to hear that. Understand? They ain't got nothing to do with it. They came because we came there. We came there. Okay.
That's a conversation for another day. You gonna open up a can of worms if you keep letting Sergio go.
Yeah.
For another
Brian
day.
Cook came to Illinois because Sergio McClain, Marcus Griffin came to Illinois.
But B Cook is my brother. I love that man. I need to get out to the West Coast to kick it with him, but that is my dude.
That's a monster right there, bro.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was one of the only ones I know to average 20 and 10 at Illinois in the Big Ten Conference. A lot of people ain't doing that.
Agreed. Mac Townsend Jr. want me to ask you guys, who are some of your toughest opponents in the Mid-State Six?
Matt Moran.
Pekin.
That's number one. Boy, it's easy to guard somebody that only can go over one shoulder as a post player, if anybody know what I mean. Most people can go over their left shoulder. But when you guard somebody that can go over the left, over the right, oh my God, you don't know how to put him in the block. It's a problem. And that man can go over the left or the right shoulder. It was a nightmare. So by far, he was my number one. And I think that was my freshman year that I went up against him, sophomore year. And he was my dude. Yeah.
Okay.
Serge.
Tough players you played against in the Mid-State Six.
Oh, tough players. Man.
Well, hold on. There's what I call, again, iconic picture is AJ, the both of you, Mark Vershaw, and Mike Robinson.
Yes. Vershaw was tough too.
You know what, man? I got to get Mark Vershaw on. The boy deserves his props, in my opinion.
Yeah, he was tough.
He went into a Final Four, Curley.
He did, 2000 in Wisconsin. Yep, they did.
He made it to a Final Four, man. Like, I mean, man, that's big time.
Yeah,
that's big time. But I mean, Vershaw,
Jason
that East Peoria team was tough. You know,
Corey Kuhn, Jason Jenkins, Mark Vershaw, they was good.
And just players that was tough in the Mid-State Six. I mean, you had Nick Knapp and Marcus Mason over at Woodruff, Glenn Bailey over at Woodruff. Central, you had AJ Guyton and Bobby Anderson and Brandon McKissick.
Who was your toughest one, Serge? Like, who was the one person you was like, I'm gonna enjoy this matchup?
I'm being. I mean, I probably got up for Mikey, but but like, I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, it wasn't nothing in Peoria that I was worried about.
Touche.
I mean, that was 100. It was
nothing
in Peoria. It was nothing in Peoria I was worried about. You know, I probably look forward to playing against Quentin Richardson, or something like that, or Ronnie Fields. But I mean, I look forward to playing against, like, my battles was against like Lamar Odom and Deion Glover and Tracy McGrady, and you know, those was the matchups I was. Ron Artest, like that was me.
Yep.
Okay. Here's another question. You guys all ended up in Illinois, but what were the other schools that recruited you?
Mm.
And did you?
Everybody.
And I got something to add to that. Did you get that bag of money?
Go ahead.
If I-
This is all I'm going to say. I turned down 3.5.
3.5 thousand? Or
Man, hey,
3.5 what?
3.5 mil.
To do what?
Right, play basketball.
To play soccer.
You gotta think
3.5 million.
I ain't lying.
Let's just say this. So I went to
That's a
I don't
record.
want to put much information out there, but I went to junior college.
Right.
And just understand, for my freshman year, there was people trying to do whatever it took to get me not to go to Illinois.
Wow.
Like serious. And they was like, no, we will do this for you. We would do this for her. We would do this for you, do this for your brother. And I was like, but my other brothers is there waiting on me. That's my loyalty. That's where I gotta go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
You
real.
better have came. All the sacrifice I done made. Y'all telling me y'all come here and y'all don't even show up on time. Got me over there by myself. Y'all
Hey.
better come.
Curley, that's a whole nother conversation that I don't know.
Okay,
if you want to be a
so
part
give me a list of schools that was trying to recruit you.
Down. Now we turn Kentucky. Kentucky turned them down on the first, just right off the bat.
Fresno State, UNLV. I know they was crazy. Cincinnati,
UCLA.
Cincinnati
UCLA.
Bearcats. Oh
Man,
my! They wanted to pair me and Kenyon Martin together and serve. Can you imagine that?
With who was it? Pete Michael too?
Pete Michael.
Satterfield.
Who was the windmill dude? The dude that had the hop.
Melvin Levitt.
Yes.
Curley, Melvin Levitt was my teammate with the Globetrotters. One of the most explosive leapers I've ever seen.
The human helicopter, baby.
Yes.
When we went in there and they was like, Marcus, they like Kenyon better than you. Me and Serge looked at each other and was like, what? Because they wanted to pair us together 4 and 5. Serge at the 3. Real talk.
Crystal Welch Bolden says, I know that IU and Bobby Knight wanted them bad. Did Bobby Knight try to come get you?
Man, Griff wasn't trying to see them Hoosiers. Griff was not trying. Hey, Griff right off the bat let them know that I ain't interested. We had a practice.
But you know what? You had 2 Peoria boys that played for Bobby Knight. You had Chris Reynolds and AJ Guyton.
AJ was there at the time.
It's a level of respect. That man cussed me out. Did he not, Serge?
He cussed you out.
I don't know who he.
Hold on. Set that up, man. He cussed you out when?
At the practice.
Well, Griff ain't tell you the whole story.
Yeah, tell the stories.
Griff got bored with them and fell asleep during the practice.
Yeah.
What practice are you talking about?
We were on our visit. Visit, and we were chilling on the sideline. And Griff fell asleep during a practice.
Hold on, backstory.
But before that, the bigs was working out. And the kid got a back. Like a back is when you go up and you dunk. This dude was like 6'10", 6'11", and he got a back. And Griff started cracking up. Was like, oh hell no, man, these bigs suck. I ain't coming. They can't get me no better.
Hold on, but Serge already knew. See, Serge ain't saying it. He knew before we went there. I was going there for him.
Just like I went to Illinois for you.
But I went on. That's real talk, though. What he just said is real talk. But that place, I was not going to succeed there. It's just I knew Serge would have succeeded there and Illinois. He would have. He wouldn't have had an issue at either place. But that place wouldn't have been for me and brother Frank. I can't speak for Frank, so I'm not going to talk. But I know Nitty, and I don't think Nitty would have been happy there.
Yeah, Curly. I mean, at the end of the day, we knew Frank was going to come with us, so we had to pick somewhere where we could all fit in.
Yep.
Right.
All fit in, and I mean, we were just being loyal to the state at the end of the day, you know.
Right on. Right on.
But I mean, we were really, we was looking at Bradley my junior year, but then Judd left Bradley, who was recruiting us real tough, and he had went over to yeah,
Coach Judson. He went over to Illinois recruiting.
Good dude.
He had went over to Illinois, but like I think our final was Cincinnati, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and I forgot, was it Iowa? Something like, but it was mainly Big Ten schools. But we were all really deciding we were going to go to USC. Everybody don't know that we was going to go out to USC, and Bibby was going to take the majority of our AAU team. So you had
Henry
Nick
Bibby, the coach.
Yeah, you had Nick Irvin.
Tell you about Henry Bibby as a recruiter. He couldn't even get his own son.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had Nick Irvin, Melvin Eli, myself, Laduro Billingsley, Frank Griffin. They was going to take our whole team, but Melvin and Nick made a deal without even talking and went to Fresno, and we was like, well, that's out the window now.
Yep.
Okay.
They was definitely in the picture.
Let's see. Willie Winky asked, who were some of the best college coaches that you had?
My best college coach that I ever played for was, I'm going to say, of course, Coach Self, Coach Kruger's up there, but Coach Mike Riley. He was my first year junior college coach. And just somebody different.
If I can interject, Mike Riley was my coach at Spoon River.
Yep. And so
wow.
he was the guy. It's different when you
rest
play
in
for
peace.
A coach. Rest in peace. And when a coach gives you the keys and he gives you all of that trust and he's going to live with your mistakes, that makes a player feel a certain type of way.
Wow.
And he gave me the keys. He was like, Marcus, we're going to live or die by you. Go out and man, boy, I put up some numbers that year. Man, I put up some numbers. Like, I think I was a little puppy in high school, but got to him, he brought the dog. And when I got to Illinois, I was a full-blown rock roller then.
Mm-hmm. I would have to say coaches in college, Rob Judson, Bill Self, Lon Kruger. I had Bruce
Coach
Weber.
In that weight room.
Bruce Weber he really opened my eyes as far as offensively, you know. With that motion, I fell in love with everything that he would. I run a script with that now, and I just remember just outside of college, Butch Reed. I don't know if you remember Butch Reed from Marquette. I think he won the national championship. He coached in Puerto Rico, and I went up there and helped him a little bit. And Spawn and Cliff Levingston from Chicago Bulls?
Yeah, used to play for the Bulls.
In Gary, Indiana, with that CBA team. So I've been around some great coaches and allow me to learn and see. And
I can't forget BJ McCullum. BJ McCullum, he also coached at Spoon River too. He came in and coached me my sophomore year. If people don't know this, I had 4 coaches for every year I played college basketball.
Wow.
4 new coaches. So, BJ McCullum, he was able to get the discipline back, because when you're in junior college, you get so much freedom. You might need a coach that can ring in that discipline again, hold you accountable again. And he did that for me. So I was ready to go when I got to Illinois.
And Norm Roberts.
Okay.
Norm Roberts was the truth.
This is the last
Coach
question, man, because we got to wrap this up. But this question here is, do you guys all keep in touch? We know with Frankie, the guys you play with in college, coaches, do you keep in touch?
Yes. I will be honest. I would love to keep in touch more, but we all let life and other things get in our way. But we on a chain, like everybody that I played in college ball with, we on a text message thread that we try to keep that active. And so I think we was just talking to each other last week. I wish I talked to a lot more of my high school players, but a lot of people are spread off. But for the most part, we hit each other on the book. But my brother over there on that other side, that's my man. I talk to him quite often. I'm finna see him actually in a couple of days. And then Frank, I try to touch bases with brother every once in a while because Frank always moving around.
I was hoping that he would be able to come on, man. A lot of people want to see and hear from Frankie.
Yeah, that's the man.
And when you guys talk to him, just tell him that, hey, man, people love him, and they would love to hear from him and see him. You know,
I know he's happy that his son Monte is having a career. I don't know how much he goes down, but that's neither here or there. But I know he's probably dealing with that. His son finishing out his last year at U of I. Hopefully they can, right the ship, get to an NCAA championship. Hopefully that's the plan.
Yes, absolutely. Well, look here, brothers.
Sergio,
you guys are my homeboys, and I'm proud to call you guys friends. I've known you a long time, and thank you for coming on tonight. And a lot of people are watching, and this will be on demand as soon as we finish in 5 minutes. It'll be on YouTube tomorrow, and a lot of people will be able to see what you guys had to say. And also, this is celebrating Greater Peoria's basketball history, in which you guys have left a mark. You guys have left footprints for many to follow in, and can nobody take away nothing from you guys. You guys are legends. You legends in my book, but you legends in a lot of people's book. So I appreciate you. I love you as brothers from my hometown. I hope to see you when the smoke clears. And let's stay in touch. And thank everybody for watching. This is celebrating Greater Peoria's rich basketball history. You got two of the baddest of the bad right here.
P-Town, finest. P-Town is in my blood.
That's right.
Hey, Curley, not goats, man. We know goats, man. You said it, legends. We're goals. We're goal.
Did you say goals?
Goals, yeah. G-O-A-L.
I like that though. I like
greatest of all legends, baby. Greatest of all legends.
I'm not gonna.
Hey, y'all can have goat.
Dude, I ain't gonna never eat dinner tonight, man. Y'all legends, y'all goals. But look here, y'all have a good rest of your week. Much love. All right,
Serge, you my brother. CB, have a good
all right.
One. All right, man.
Okay, gang. Let me tell you something. If you love basketball and you live in Central Illinois, you had to have loved that session we just had there. These two of the greats. They've done something that only somebody can try to duplicate. It can't be outdone. 4 championships in 4 years in a 2-class system. Until they go back to the 2-class system, hey, can't nobody mess with that. Just saying, it is what it is. And I love to say that. But nevertheless, that was fun for me. We could have gone on all night, but it was special. It was special. So we're going to shut it down for the weekend. And I'll see you Monday. I got a lot of people calling in, a lot of people inboxing about certain teams, certain players. and we'll try to get them on. We'll try to accommodate everybody and make everybody in the Peoria area inclusive. Just holler at me. I'll do what I can for you. Y'all take care. Good night, people. Love you.